Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. This is Our Take. We are your hosts. I'm Ocean.
I'm Taylor.
And I just want to give a quick apology for the somewhat lack of content recently coming from Our Take. I've had some rocky weeks with just schedules not working out and whatnot, but we're trying to get back into it. We're going to start offloading content to you guys. We're going to kind of catch up. There's definitely some movies and some TV shows that have come out, and we want to do episodes on. We want to cover, and I know they're not I don't want to say relevant, but they're a little late for you guys, but we definitely still want to put them out for you guys so that you guys can hear our opinions on a lot of the things that have come out recently. Starting with this episode today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk to you guys about our initial impressions for Disney Plus and Lucasfilm's original series, The Mandalorian Season 3. As of filming this episode right now, there are 3 episodes out, and I think there's decent amount to talk about, especially because Mandalorian had such crazy hype coming into it, being one of the best pieces of Star Wars content to come out in years. So there's a lot of expectations, and we'll kind of talk to you guys about those and whether or not they met those expectations. So traditional fashion, ladies and gentlemen, spoiler-free content first, then we'll dive into some scores real quick, and then we'll get into spoilers. So Taylor, 3 episodes, right? 3 episodes are out, which is a good enough sample size to kind of have a grasp of what's going on with the show and have a good idea of it. And, are you feeling excited about it? Is it meeting the expectations that you had coming into season 3 of The Mandalorian, or how are you feeling?
Yeah, so obviously we've been super excited for it. Yeah. And I don't want to do a whole lot of spoiler-free stuff just because I really just want to get into it.
Yeah.
But I've been loving this show.
Oh, okay.
I've been super excited, and I still continue to be. I've loved everything that's come out so far.
Okay.
For me, I don't really know what the what's it called? Response or whatever reaction.
Yeah, like the general public reaction.
But I love it.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I think that this show really delivers some on some very key things that we talked about in our trailer reactions and stuff. Yeah. It's really delivering on like half of, probably more than half, but it's really delivering on some things. And then there are some other things that are really lacking for me. And I don't want to say that I'm not enjoying it, because I definitely am enjoying seeing more of Din Djarin and the armor and just more of Mandalorian stuff in general. And
Grogu.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, Grogu is the star of the show, but but I definitely have some things that are that I want to talk about in the spoiler section, because I think they could have done better, but in the end, it's still Star Wars, first off, and anything Star Wars is always going to watch it regardless. And then second off, it's still better than a lot of other Disney Star Wars stuff. So
Disney stuff in general.
Yeah, just Disney stuff in general. Yeah, that's fair. So with that being said, I say it's still worth watching. And I'm curious to know what like you said, what the general public's response is to it, as people that are maybe not Star Wars nerds, and that maybe watch The Mandalorian because of the action or Grogu or Pedro Pascal or whatever their reason was for watching the first 2 seasons. I'm kind of curious to know how they feel about this season. So if you're one of those people, ladies and gentlemen, that are brand new to the Star Wars world, and The Mandalorian was like your introduction to it, basically, or maybe you're just not that big of a nerd like we are, how are you guys feeling about Mandalorian season 3? I'd like to hear from you guys down in the comments below. So with that being said, let's get into some scores real quick. We'll give scores just as an initial impressions. We won't worry about episode by episode. We'll just do one general score for initial impressions. Real quick, do you know how long the season's supposed to be?
Like how many episodes?
Yeah.
No, I do not.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to look that up while we're going through this episode. But as far as scores go, ladies and gentlemen, for me, for the first 3 episodes, I'm gonna give it a 7. I think 7 is a conservative number for trying to be unbiased towards the fact that I'm getting to see some really cool things that are like part of Star Wars mythology, essentially. And so without trying to be,
It says 8.
8 episodes. Oh, okay. All right. That might change things a little bit, but yeah, I think 7 is a good score for me. I think it's starting off solid, and we'll see where it ends up. What about you, Taylor? What's your score for initial impression?
I think right now I'd probably give it like an 8.
Okay. Slightly higher. Slightly higher. Alrighty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you got our scores. I say give it a watch. Even if it maybe not the best thing ever, give it a watch because it's Star Wars and can't go wrong with Din Djarin.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I highly recommend it. But I don't know. A lot of the stuff that's happening, I find very like
interesting
and cool. So
yeah, I do think that this season is catering a little bit more towards Star Wars nerds, with the introduction of a lot of like mythic creatures, we'll call it, or just mythic stuff in general. So
yeah,
I think it's catering to us nerds a little bit more, which, like I said, I'm interested to see how the general person would respond to that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to dive into some spoilers, talk about why we feel how we feel, talk about the cool stuff that we saw, and maybe any concerns that we have. So, if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out and then come back, finish out the spoilers with us. We'd love to see you guys here. This is your official
spoiler alert.
All right. How cool was it to finally see a mythosaur?
It's amazing,
right?
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised.
I was shocked
in here because I don't know exactly, but I had thought that they were extinct.
I was under the impression that they were a myth, like, or not a myth, but they were like long dead.
That's what I'm saying. I thought I could have swore they were extinct, like within obviously like expanded Star Wars stuff, but I'm not opposed to it at all.
no, it looked sick too for that split second that we saw it. I was like,
super cool, slightly scary.
yeah, it was very interesting to see that. And also there's another mythical creature that we got to see as well in episode 1, the space whales. What are they called? Pugils?
I don't remember the name, but
I think they're called pugils.
They looked majestic.
Yeah, they're basically majestic sea whales that have the capability of traveling, or capability of riding light as their method of travel, and they're part of canon from Star Wars Rebels. It's actually, there's some really sad scenes with them because, yeah, very sad.
There's always sad stuff around whales.
Yeah. Exactly what you would think, like poacher kind of stuff, but they're just really cool to see. And there's actually one whale that ends up saving, is his name Kanan or Kanan from Rebels? I can't remember his name, the main character that. But yeah, it was just really cool to see, and it was kind of like one of those aha moments that for most of you guys probably just like, oh, the light speed shaped into some whale looking shapes.
I mean, if somebody's paying attention, I imagine they're probably just like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. But for me, I was there like, whoa, that's so cool that they added that in there.
Yeah, and then we see those creepy motherfuckers in the caves.
Oh, like the alligator looking things?
No, I mean those were kind of cool too, with their glowing eyes and stuff. But I mean, they're like Sasquatch.
Yeah, looking things. I can't remember what their name is. Bo-Katan says what their species is or whatever, but they're like creatures that live on Mandalore.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're like a Mandalorian like if they're a Mandalorian creature, like if they're what is that called? Indigenous to Mandalore, or if they're like a product of, I don't know. Maybe you guys can educate us on that, because I have no idea what they are or where they come from. But
all the creatures and stuff look cool though.
Yeah. How about that freaking like robotic creature that had like suits that kidnapped, or that like,
so he was very cool. The moment he enters the screen, I'm like, oh, it's Grievous.
Yeah.
It's Scuffed Grievous. Grievous. That's because he literally looks like him. He moves like him. He's got a little bit of differences. But he was super cool. He even had like Grievous's bodyguards,
the staff,
little electrical, like super cool. And he had this fucking like crazy screen for his face that could see his actual face. It's very weird. I don't know what race he is or whatever. But it was pretty cool. Was not expecting it, honestly.
When he like sprung it, when Din Djarin sprung the trap and it like grabbed him, I was like, what the? And then it looked like a crab. I was like, why is there a crab in the cave? But I mean, it was pretty cool. So one thing that I wanted to talk about, because I know you're going to want to talk about it quite a bit, is the expansion on Mandalorians in general, and specifically this particular what are they called? Not sect or cult. What is that called?
Clan?
Are they clan? She said something else. What is it?
Well, they're called the Covenant. Coven.
Oh, Coven. The Coven. Yeah. So this particular Coven,
they are a clan. Yeah.
So I think it was episode 1, right? It started out with this scene.
Yeah. So the very beginning, we get this introduction.
Incredible scene, by the way.
Super amazing. Like the fact that they start off with this is so awesome.
When I saw this, I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I wanted out of Mandalorian.
Like what basically the scene is kind of like the our experience as a viewer as the birth. Not when I say birth, I mean like it's almost like a baptism of a new Mandalorian joining the ranks. Yeah. I fucking would love to do this as a kid.
It's the ceremonial induction of a youngling movie, or like transitioning to like an actual Mandalorian soldiers when they become Mandalorian. And get their helmet, right? It's the final time that their face will be shown to the world. So
their identity is gone after that. They are now Mandalorian.
And the episode starts out with the armor actually making the helmet, which I thought was super cool. Anytime, like, I know some people give the armor shit because, like,
really,
yeah, I've seen some stuff recently about people giving the armor shit because she's like such a shallow character. Like, there's not a whole lot of, she doesn't talk very much, doesn't do very much, whatever. I don't feel that way, but I've seen some people talk about how they want like more out of her. I'm saying that's interesting. I don't think that's the point of her, but okay. But she's just making the armor. I thought that was super cool. And then just the whole ceremony with all the crazy, awesome looking Mandalorians in the background with all their like different colored armor. With all their like different colored armor and stuff, like it was so cool to me. Yeah. It was so cool to see, like, even what's his face? The big dude that Din Djarin fought for the Darksaber.
How do I forget his name? Vizsla.
Vizsla.
Something Vizsla. It's the Vizsla family.
Right. He's a descendant of the Vizsla family who
Vizsla, I think, something like that.
He's
an absolute unit.
Dude, his armor looks sick.
He was big. Yeah. I feel like in the first, mostly first season, a little bit of second. But in this one, he looks huge.
He looks dope though, too. Oh, his armor is awesome. Sick. His helmet changed a little bit. I love
when he's fighting, dude. Yeah. Like there's the scene where he's like goes to like kind of like save or not really save, but just kind of like aggro the
the
fucking
giant
monster.
crocodile thing.
I was like, that's a fucking man right there.
Yeah.
He just walks in front of us like,
walk it up.
Yeah.
The scene, ladies and gentlemen, is this like giant water creature that looks like a crocodile, basically.
Yeah.
Combined with a turtle.
Yes. Which is kind of scary because if you think about it, crocodiles are one of the most dangerous fucking things that have been surviving on this planet for
millions of years.
Yeah. Combine that with one of the most insanely strong defensible abilities of a turtle.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Yeah,
OP,
come on,
bro. Yeah, OP, man.
I guess that needs to get nerfed.
Yeah. Well, Din Djarin nerfed it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
So
just like an American would, he just obliterates it with science.
It was sick though. That whole sequence was awesome. Watching the Mandalorians, or this particular coven of Mandalorians, fight this creature that interrupted the ceremony of this new Mandalorian being created, and then the part that got me is when it started rolling. I was like, "Oh, y'all fucked."
Oh, like death rolling.
Yeah, it started death rolling. I was like, "Oh, you guys are fucked." Like, I didn't think, right? I didn't know if it had that capability, and then once it did, I was like, "Yeah, y'all are done." Yeah. Sorry.
I felt bad, but it was awesome at the same time. And I will say, like, as much as I enjoyed Din Djarin coming in to save them and stuff, I was kind of hoping that the newly what's it called, like founded member, the kid, was gonna pull something off to like earn his
spot
in the clan, you know.
That would have been an equally or possibly even better storyline, but
I get it. They want to put a spotlight on Din Djarin, which I'm not opposed to.
Was sick.
Yeah, it was super cool. I want to say too, the sound design in this show is so amazing.
Now that we know what sound design actually means, if you haven't checked out our last episode on the Oscars, but we knew. But I was trying to it was a shameless plug.
Yeah, but the sound design is so incredible in this show.
It is.
It's honestly even better than it was the previous seasons, I feel like, because they're kind of like cranking it up.
Yeah.
And so like every single time Din does like a big dick move, there's this sound of the like I don't know the instrument, but it sounds like a super high pitched, almost like kind of flute, probably not. That plays and like screams. It's like ding every time he does something. It's so great because it does it multiple times later in the fighter scene.
Right.
Sorry.
When they're fighting. Yeah. Whoever is the sound production designer and whatnot is absolutely killing it and nailing their job and needs to be given a raise.
Yeah. And the sets and props and everything
has been incredible. I will say, as far as like sound design, set, costumes, all that stuff, I have zero issues with this series so far at all. Like everything looks great.
Super good looking.
The costumes look amazing. Everything looks amazing. My issues that I have with this show stem from pacing of story and the overall feeling of rush. Like it feels that to me this season has felt really rushed in the beginning. It feels like they have these like key moments, like Din Djarin swooping in and shooting the alligator turtle to save the day. And then they have this other moment of him meeting Bo-Katan and asking her to come with him to Mandalore, to whatever their key moments were. And then in between that, they kind of were just like, all right, well, how do we bridge that gap? And then they just threw a whole bunch of stuff in there and made it rush through. And it felt like filler in between those moments. Whereas the previous season of Mandalorian, like I was genuinely interested about each step of the journey that was happening, where this one I really only care about like the major plots, if that makes sense.
Is there a specific time? Like I totally understand. I'm just trying to remember.
No, yeah. So I mean, obviously, just like for you guys, the first episode came out 3 weeks ago, so it is. But like for me, in the first episode, the entire scene and like process of him trying to get a droid felt super rushed. Like I feel like that could have been stretched out to be a whole episode in of itself of him I mean, think about the gravity of the fact that Din Djarin, somebody who we know to just hate droids,
right,
has decided that he needs a droid. Like that's a really big character development that I think could have been explored a little bit more in depth and could have been played out a little bit more. But that whole sequence of him meeting, I don't remember what the council dude or the governor dude, huh?
Grief Karga.
Yeah. Like him meeting him, Grief Karga offering him a job. We see Babu Frick, or at least
somebody from his.
Yeah, people. I don't know if it's actually Babu Frick because they never said his name, but
they all look the same.
But it was equally as funny and refreshing as Babu Frick was. So I'm hoping that's him. But just that whole sequence of events felt super rushed for me. Even when he goes back to, is that Tatooine that he goes to, where he lands in the port and talks to the girl that gets him parts and stuff? Is that on Tatooine?
I think it is.
I think it is, right? But like even that section was rushed to me. I mean, that's the first time we're seeing her for the episode, right? And we kind of just kind of feels like it was brushed by, first time we're seeing it in the season, sorry, and it just kind of felt brushed by and whatnot, and then it just turns into like, oh, he's gonna buy the droid from her. You know what I mean? Like he was going to look for this very specific part that he needed in order to make the droid, which is IG-11, that he already knows and trusts.
Right.
And that's why he wanted him to fix him. But then he lands in this place and he's like, oh yeah, I'll just buy this droid. It's okay. So like that stuff, I mean, overall, like I don't think it really hurts too much. It's just not the level of storytelling detail that I'm normally accustomed to, I guess, for this series.
Yeah, I mean, I totally see that. I don't have as much of an issue. There are certain points that I probably feel more strong now. Like, so the point that you made with the droid, I do completely agree with. And I was kind of disappointed that he was too easily swayed to get this piece of shit droid, to be honest. Because, and this is whether the difference is in the beginning, how you were saying how you didn't like the lead up to it. I actually thought it was fine just because for me, I had enough of that development from the previous seasons.
Sure.
I didn't like the fact that, and this is just like real world problems, but they completely ruined Cara Dune. Well, they throw her away is the problem. Because they briefly mention her because he's like, oh, what happened to Cara? Because she was the appointed sheriff at the before he left. And even though they do give a cool reasoning for it, because from now on, I am just going to picture her being like a New Republic Ranger.
Yeah.
That's sick. Awesome. And I would love to see that later, but it's not going to happen. Because the reason why that's in there is for real world stuff. Yeah. Unfortunately, but because she was such a great character,
she was,
and it's just sad to see her leave so early. I do like the interaction with the Grief Karga because he's great. I don't really need a whole lot of it personally. Like I just kind of want to just get into the Mandalorian stuff, which we do get.
Yeah, so I think
these guys, like you're saying, are great. I love the attention to detail with their facility and warehouse and stuff. So good.
Small.
They're funny. Yeah. It's just great.
I think I guess to clarify a little bit more, because it ended with him just buying this random piece of shit droid from whatever her name is, like it just felt super flat and useless to me.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I said, I do completely agree about the droid. That honestly, that's kind of an L.
I think so too.
It doesn't ruin it, but as far as Din Djarin's character goes, it's a step down. And there is another point in this in episode 2 that I wasn't a fan of, which again relates to Din Djarin as a character, and it's a power creep, which this is not the first time we've seen this in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it's just still disappointing to see it. And it's the fact that Bo-Katan is a great character. I'm glad that she's getting actual like
story behind her.
Development with her and stuff, because there's a lot, and there's still a lot to come, which I'm excited about, especially with what ends on 3. But they do that at the expense of Din Djarin. Like whenever he first goes to Mandalore, he gets, I know it's been a while since he's been there, but he shouldn't be getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah.
Like he did. I understand that it's to set up the situation for Grogu to go get Bo-Katan to bring her to Mandalore, to, that needs to happen. I just think it's unfortunate that they had to do that at the expense of him looking like a loser.
Well, it's kind of like it's kind of contradicting, right? Because if you think about it on a little bit finer details, one, Din Djarin was worried about the world being toxic air to breathe, right? Then we find out that he can pressurize his helmet, which I knew beforehand, but the general public didn't know. But then you find out he can pressurize his helmet, so why is he that worried about? Why is he that worried about finding a droid that can test the air? Can't he just test the air and with his helmet sealed? Which I'm sure.
I mean, theoretically, theoretically, yes.
So it didn't bother me that much. But then he goes into this city that at this time he has no idea,
right?
Because he doesn't know the city, and he just walks straight to where he needs to go. He just automatically knows, and like you said, at the same time, he has he's super knowledgeable. He fights those creepy dudes and wins. He somehow knows exactly where he's going. He has his pressurized helmet so that it keeps him safe. But then he gets trapped by this spring trap, this crab that's laying in the ground. And then at that point he can't do anything. I
mean, even with the sorry,
the creepy
let me
dudes?
try not to be racist, but the creepy
the
things.
Sasquatches. We'll call them Sasquatches.
I was gonna say something else, but
we'll call them Sasquatches.
Even with those, he was kind of was having trouble with them. We'll say,
and he had to pull out his Darksaber.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that they show him struggling with the Darksaber, because that's in itself is an isolated thing, and that's how it should be for now. And then I do love the fact that they show Bo-Katan being excellent with it. She should be. But again, it's dude, he gets
I agree.
It's it just feels
the power
bad.
curve is just, it's doing a little bit too much of this.
Yeah. I know it'll pick back up. It's just it feels weird, Yeah,
it feels weird to see somebody that we've grown accustomed to being the expert fighter that he is.
Yeah, the go-to guy.
Yeah.
If you're fighting.
He literally bailed Boba Fett out of he essentially saved Boba Fett
situations
from dying to Cad Bane and a bunch of other bounty hunters. It was so I don't know. I mean, I do 100% agree with that.
Yeah. Also, as a side note, Bo-Katan's ship, dude, is so cool too. I know it's a stolen.
It did that little we've seen it in real life movies where it just stops on a dime and turns because it uses reverse.
That was actually something I wanted to bring up. Thank you.
I was what the
bro, ladies and gentlemen, we get some Top Gun in Star Wars, and it is so good.
It was great. It was that whole scene in Episode 3 after they're coming back from Mandalore. Din Djarin is already bathed in the waters, and they're headed back to, I don't remember the name of the planet that Bo-Katan lives on, but they're headed back to her castle. There's some bombing run that happens, which, real quick, that's another point that I didn't really care for. There's no introduction into who the hell is after Bo-Katan and why is her place being bombed. Why were there a whole bunch of TIE fighters there? They say it's a Imperial warlord or whatever, but But it's no, it's not. That's way too much to be an Imperial warlord.
Well,
even if it is,
that's
why?
The thing is, I don't mind it. It's just I do think there should have been a little bit more to it, because they do talk about it. They're just she's pretty much multiple times. She's I stole this from this Imperial warlord. He's been chasing me for a while. I do find it weird that it's well, how does he know where your castle is? How are you that? I mean,
Are you that open about
it
where
is
you live?
Bo-Katan, so she kind of does just flaunt that she's the rightful ruler to Mandalore.
The heir.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, well, you kind of want to lay low,
right? If you're stealing
at
chips
the same time, yeah,
and shit,
and especially because you lost all of your troops and stuff.
Also, is she the only one that lives there?
That's what it seems like. But the droid, does everything else.
Yeah.
She's always just sitting there, like, oh, okay.
I mean, obviously her crew abandoned her, like her crew left her, but
at some point, yeah.
Like, is she the only one that lives on that in that castle? And if so, that like, does she just sit in her throne all day?
I guess so. It's got to be boring.
I saw this video. I saw this. I think it was a reel or something on Instagram, and it was a video of somebody pretending to be Bo-Katan, and they're like, what you see, and it's her sitting in her throne waiting for Din Djarin. What actually happened, and then it's her like in her bed with like all kinds of snacks around her, and then she hears Din Djarin shit. She was like, oh shit, and like you see her like bumbling down the hallway trying to put on her armor and stuff.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And then she gets to her throne, and she's like trying to figure out how to sit, and she's like,
so should I just look awkward? Does this look right?
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, oh my god, that's got to be it. There's no way she just sits in her throne all day
hilarious. Moping. Yeah, that sounds exactly like it should be. Because every time he gets there, like the droid's always like, like I don't know what he just dresses her as, like, but yeah. But like, hey, you have an unexpected visitor or whatever. Yeah. And she's always just like awkwardly sitting there, and it's like
staring off into space, moping around. Yeah. It's like, all right, this is obviously a front. You 5 seconds ago, you were in your bed eating potato chips and drinking root beer.
Speaking of Bo-Katan, there was one scene I thought was kind of disappointing as well. It's when they're in Mandalore and she's kind of with them and she's like guiding them. And she takes a moment to like kind of just talk to him about like, oh, this is not what it always used to be. It used to be, beautiful and all this other stuff. She takes her helmet off.
Does she?
Yeah, she takes her helmet off to talk. And
I don't remember that.
She does it one specific time doing like the longest speech, and then she puts it back on. And I wasn't a fan of that. Like, you didn't need to take your helmet off just to talk. Just talk. Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's like an
acting thing.
Not even just an acting thing, but they want you to picture Bo-Katan. So when she's speaking, they want you to see her face.
Well, yeah. I mean, the general or the like the actual like acting and like fundamentals of that, like, yeah, you want the viewer to be able to see the person's face that is talking so that they can get more out of it other than just hearing what they're saying, right? You get more by seeing the grimaces or whatever you make. Like, it imparts a different type of feeling upon you. However, I think what's special about this show and about Din Djarin specifically is that Pedro Pascal is able to convey the emotion needed in the situations without seeing his face. And that's what I think is special about this show and about Mandalorian specifically, that they needed to keep consistent, that they're able to communicate effectively even though we cannot see their face.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's old thinking of that. Right. This has been done for years. Mandalorian is probably the first time it's been done on a big screen. Sure. Video games have been doing this for a long time. Yeah. And it has been proven multiple times over and over again. You don't need a face to convey anything. Yeah. It is all in whoever the actor is.
Right. I mean, I'm sure this show
absolutely doesn't need it.
Yeah.
But the reason why I didn't like it is because, like, beyond the fact that it's like maybe like an actor thing, I think it's an image thing. They want you to stay connected to Bo-Katan's face, but she doesn't need to. Like, I understand that she's part of a group that does take off their helmets, but just because she puts her helmet on, it doesn't mean she's not Bo-Katan anymore.
Right.
Like, there shouldn't be that weird disconnect that when she has it on, she's a different person. When she has it off, she's another person.
Right.
She's the same person. And if you're all she's doing, like she was only saying this short little, conversation, and then she puts it right back on. So clearly it's not like some big overarching, like, oh, we need her to do this for emotions or anything. Because she doesn't really do a whole lot. She just explains, and goes over her memories and stuff. And it's not like super emotional or anything.
Right.
It just felt unnecessary. And I don't like that they're doing this, because I guess it's maybe to like, which they did with Boba Fett too. They're taking what should be a strong point of this show and turning it into a crutch. Because now all we know, like, I mean, I know there's lore and stuff backing it with Din Djarin, with his covenant stuff.
Yeah.
But it's beyond that. Like, he doesn't need to take off him not just because of like his covenant stuff. He's that like
that's the
great
character.
of an actor.
Yeah.
And they can all do it. Like, I'm confident they can all do it. It's just they have it in their mind, like whether it's Disney or whatever, that Din Djarin is the only one that keeps his helmet on. I know there's side characters and stuff, but they're so small it doesn't even matter.
Right.
But if you're a big name person, if you are Boba Fett, he has his helmet off almost all the time.
Yeah.
Bo-Katan has her helmet off all the time. And it's not that I don't like seeing their faces. They're great. Like, they're awesome. Yeah. But it's kind of against their livelihoods. Like I said, I know Bo-Katan kind of has her thing, but them being warriors and their armor being so special to them.
Not only that, but like just the protection aspect.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that is their lives. Like, because war is their lives. Right. That is their profession. That is their lifestyle.
What is your profession?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of like space Spartans. I mean, it like
pretty
obviously
much.
The helmets are kind of styled similarly.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's all kinds of conversations of who it's based off of, whatever. There's a lot of countries, but generally, like, it looks like a medieval helmet for a warrior that is like born to like for war. Right. And that being the case, like, it's kind of just weird that
you make a good
especially
point.
Because she's a female, I feel like that probably plays a part in it too.
Yeah, I think I think part of it is they're trying to remind us of what's under the helmet.
Yeah, but
instead
it's
of letting it morph into the character. But I don't think it's necessary either.
Yeah, we ain't gonna forget. Yeah. Like, I know who she is and I like who she is, but why are you? It just felt so out of place to me.
Yeah,
is why I'm ranting about it. So I apologize.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, I feel the same way.
She's super cool.
Yeah, I actually really like her. And let's talk about the way that episode 3 ended, because it's a pretty big deal. I mean, first off, the first 3 episodes generally revolve around Din Djarin. Actually, it was episode 3. But the first 3 episodes generally revolve around Din Djarin trying to bathe within the living waters and redeem himself, right? Because he took off his helmet to say bye to Grogu, and now he's no longer Mandalorian. Now he's trying to get back to the way. Turns out the living waters are real. Turns out there's a mythosaur in the water.
Oh, yep. That thing is deep.
And so he achieves his goal of redeeming himself, and then they go back to the coven, and not only does he get redeemed and welcomed back into the coven as a Mandalorian,
I actually really loved,
but so did Bo-Katan,
because technically she did the same thing,
and the armor basically said, like, look, you may not normally walk this path, but as of right now you are. If you deviate from it, that's fine, and you will just no longer be part of our coven.
Choose
but for right now, you are Mandalorian. You are part of our coven, and we welcome you.
Which I really love, because this opens an opportunity for some very interesting storylines with Bo-Katan. Because, I mean, obviously at some point some stuff's going to happen, which I'm excited for. But I think at this point in time in her life, like, she kind of needs this.
Yeah, she needs the structure. She needs the
it's family. All about family.
Yeah. Yeah, because
if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, Vin Diesel's one of the men.
Wouldn't be surprised. I thought it was really awesome, and just the way they portrayed it as well. It felt very tribal. Yeah. Felt very indigenous.
Like, I loved when they first arrived. Paz Vizsla was just like, why the hell are you guys here?
Yeah.
You ain't shit.
You're an apostate.
Yeah.
Why are you
and
here?
He's like, no, I've redeemed myself. And he's like, I have proof. And he's just like, but I love the fact that he doesn't do anything.
Try to,
right.
Yeah.
Like he's
like, I don't care. This isn't proof. He's like, all right.
He's challenging him, but at the same time, and this maybe just as a Mandalorian thing.
Probably.
There's still a level of respect. And he's like, we'll see. Yeah. Instead of just being an asshole and like fighting.
I mean, to be fair, he did kind of kick his ass.
Well, yeah, of course.
But
I mean, he's a dude. Look at him.
Yeah.
but
that scene was awesome. Just
it was just cool seeing.
I love the armor.
Like, at them.
I love her because she's just so like matter of the fact, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think the thing that makes her so great is the lack of emotion when she talks and stuff. Like she's like, you are Mandalorian no longer, and that's it. And it's just like,
this is the way.
Yeah, it's just this is the way. And then he comes back. He comes back and he's like, here, I have proof. And she goes and does a little test, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the water.
This
and
is the truth.
Like,
he speaks the truth.
Imagine you're an armorer of a covenant who is essentially the leader, right? And this whole time, you've thought that Mandalore is poisoned and that you cannot return there. You thought that it was destroyed. You thought the living waters were destroyed, which was like, a lifeline of their community.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, this dude who is an apostate of your coven comes back with proof that it's not.
And that he's redeemed himself.
Well, not only that, but just think of it. Like, she's just like, oh yeah, this is the living waters. Cool, you're redeemed. Like, just try to imagine. Would you not be freaking out? They're like, why would you not be like, oh my God, we can go back to Mandalore. Oh my God, the living waters are still exist. Like, it would be like such an crazy amount of emotion rushed just by the fact that living water test turned out positive. But then she just turns around and is like, yeah, you're redeemed. Welcome back to the coven. Thank you. Have a great day.
I can see
amazing.
That. I can see
love
that.
It.
Yeah, I can see that. I kind of think about it differently, I guess, from like the armorer's perspective.
Yeah.
Because she technically wouldn't be the lead. I mean, she is for this coven.
Yeah.
They treat her as one, but she really would kind of be like the what's the term for it? Like not witch doctor, but like tribal, like elder kind of role.
Yeah.
Because again, war is their fucking religion.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me it makes a lot of sense how she reacts that way, because even though you're right, it's like, dude, this opens up a whole new, well, not really new, but like your world is still there. Like there's, so much opportunity for you now. But at the same time, like it's already been, so many years.
Right.
And the importance of her character is really to keep the Mandalorians alive and together. So the fact that their world is still, potentially hospitable for them and stuff to rebuild, that's great. But it's not really like that big of a deal to her, because she's already doing the important thing. So I'm sure eventually that'll get there. But really, to her, like I do love her reaction. It's just like, oh, he speaks the truth. You have been redeemed. And then, to have the little conversation with Bo-Katan, which I loved.
Yeah.
And she kind of just like feels like, I don't know what to do right now. Because she doesn't say anything. She's just standing
I think that moment was kind of like what you're talking about, where she's kind of realizing like, oh, I'm a part of something bigger than myself now.
Right.
Again, because she was before, but now again, she has that sense of belonging. Right. To a family, to a group. And she's kind of like realizing as everybody comes up and,
which I love that fact that they all come up to her and they're like, hey, welcome.
Right.
Like, you're part of us now. Which, like I said, I feel like it's very important for her. And it all comes together so nicely.
It does. It does wrap up very neatly at the end of episode 3. This is why I'm like so conflicted on how I feel about this season, because the major points, the big blocks, the awesome things that we see are in and of themselves amazing, and they're incredible. But the pacing to me is just off, because even the pacing of like Bo-Katan leading Din into the water and stuff like that felt super rushed and whatnot, and they just like threw the mythosaur at us. They're like, here's this incredible creature that has just been a myth up until this point, and now there's one alive. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Can be, or depends on who you talk to, I guess.
Yeah. So it felt off, but it does wrap up neatly at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Episode 3, and it's in a very good spot, and that's why I'm very hopeful for the future, but also it's just like, all right, well, hopefully we figured out the pacing issues, and now we can kind of just continue the story in the same storytelling style that I'm used to from the first 2 seasons. I do, before we kind of wrap up this video, I do want to talk about the other half of episode 3, because episode 3 was kind of like two-sided. There's 2 storylines going on simultaneously. One was obviously the man of Din Djarin and Bo-Katan and their adventures and their Top Gun space aerial combat, which was sick.
Yep.
But
also, just real quick, that battle to the captain, the Imperial Warlord, looks so cool. He's like a weird, I want to say Davy Jones, but he's not. He's more green. Like, he had like foliage, right? Like he's more like a plant.
It was interesting,
but he looked crazy. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, never seen that before.
Yeah, it was like the first time I've seen a race like that, so I was like, whoa, that looks cool. But yeah, anyways, go ahead.
No, but the other storyline, ladies and gentlemen, was the storyline about this this former Imperial scientist who I swear I had a picture of, son of a gun. But it was a former Imperial scientist that was working on cloning technology. And he is part of this amnesty program that is essentially what we did to German doctors after World War II, or like German scientists and stuff, where we brought them to the States and, said, hey, work for us, develop us, and we'll kind of forget about World War II, essentially. And it's basically the same thing here, where they're these people that worked for the Empire but are not necessarily bad or evil, have a second chance at life through this amnesty program. The amnesty program itself, I vaguely remember hearing something about it at some point elsewhere. I don't remember where, or if I maybe are just making it up in my head. But this scientist, have we seen him before?
He does look familiar.
This is probably something that like you guys, or we're gonna look back and be like, yeah, duh, it was this dude from this season or this whatever. But maybe you guys can enlighten us on who this scientist is, because it seems like we're supposed to know who he is, right? By the way that they do the storytelling and whatnot, it seems like we're supposed to know who he is and why he is such a big deal or whatever.
Right.
But I don't know why. I can't remember. But the storyline of him basically rebelling again somehow and wanting to continue his research, which it's kind of like that old like evil guy thing, like, right, in your story you're not the bad guy, right? Like in your story you're always the hero. So for him, he's trying to help. He's thinking like, oh, the skills that I have, the things that I can do could be beneficial to this new republic, but they're not letting me do it. Yeah, for sure. He definitely is right. And even the New Republic, the way that they framed it sometimes was very like, I think it was very intentional like there's some, to me, I got this like subliminal message, like it kind of felt like especially the scene where he's getting interviewed by the robot, he's got to like check in and whatnot. Like that to me is like very wolf in sheep's clothing kind of thing, like, yeah, they're interviewing you, just trying to like make sure that you feel like you're included and make sure you feel appreciated for what you're doing as part of this program. But at the same time, it's also very clearly for them to be able to keep tabs on you,
of course, and
make sure that, you aren't headed in this direction where you're going to start doing bad stuff again.
Right.
For right reasons. And it's very interesting with the whole New Republic thing, because
it is, yeah.
For what we know, the New Republic is supposed to be this good society now, or this good government. But
kinda, yeah.
Oh, got a crap. Sorry. Whoa, that was weird. But it doesn't like, I don't know. It kind of gives me some weird feelings.
It is, yeah. It's very disturbing,
Yeah.
or like uncanny.
Even the uniform stuff, like I know that everybody wears uniforms. I mean, I wear a uniform, but like the uniforms themselves, like I don't know, they're kind of just very prisoner like, and like
it's like a step above that.
Yeah, like slightly above prisoner level. Like,
one step above that.
So I don't know.
Which, to be fair,
yeah, you're pretty much
is kind of is prisoner like. But yeah.
So I just think I thought it was very interesting.
It is, yeah. It is.
And I'm interested to see where the storyline goes, especially because at the end of the episode, this other female that is like basically an undercover agent for the New Republic that ends up trapping this guy, which is kind of fucked up, man.
It is.
She totally.
I was like ready for this. The moment she fucking introduces herself, I'm like, there's something way off about you.
Yeah, she has that face though. She has that face.
She does.
Like,
yeah, she really does.
You're not who you say you are. And they do a very good job of playing it that like she's maybe like somebody else that doesn't work for the New Republic and is you know trying to get him to step out of line and do bad things again. But in reality, she's this undercover operative that entraps him essentially.
I mean, she's part of the testing program basically,
and it's and I felt so bad for him. I did feel bad for the doctor. Because
like I mean I understand like everything happens because like he's you know it's all new to him and stuff, and he's I guess being a little more, or he tries to be a little bit more optimistic about the situation, and it's unfortunate that he ends up falling and failing basically his program and has to be
mind flayed,
rehabilitated again. Yeah,
that was kind of
that was a step far, bro. But
that's kind of nuts.
But that leads into some very interesting stuff for the future. Because
especially because she turns up the machine.
Yeah, she basically tries to kill him.
Yeah, or just wipe him completely.
Yeah, basically fries.
Yeah,
his brain.
Which that machine is. As soon as I saw it, I was like,
I thought it was so weird that it was like
they were trying to like play it off. It was like, oh, this is just
well, I mean, I understand that. Of course, they're gonna do some bullshit like that, and he's not Admiral Akbar, but I can't remember.
The best part is when he says it's a trap.
Yeah,
he says it at some point. I'm like, oh my god, that was great.
But his
great writing.
His race or whatever is just so good looking.
Yeah,
I love seeing it on screen. We get quite a bit of it here.
Yeah, there's a few of them too.
But the fact that he was just like, no, this is a completely different machine. Like, no, bro, it's the exact same thing as a mind. The problem I had with it though was not that they're reusing it and they're trying to brush it off. It's the fact that they don't have a limiter on the thing, because that would at least make it different. Than the mind flayer.
Right.
Is if it had a hard limit.
Like he couldn't go up to
she couldn't just be like, oh, I just want to watch because we're friends. And just destroy him. Like what?
Why is that even an option? If it's not supposed to be a mind flayer, why is it even an option to flay the mind?
Even with the different races, there's got to be a level that you're like, no matter what you are, this will kill you.
Yeah.
Or basically kill you, So
why is it even possible? Yeah.
But it was very cool. It is very interesting. And I'm super curious to see where this goes in the future.
Very curious. I'm very curious to know how it's going to play into Din Djarin's story.
Yes, that's what I'm like really wondering is the connection to that, because I love this because this kind of connects to Bad Batch.
Yeah.
In the time frame,
Yeah.
So I kind of like the fact that it's almost like a side story that can maybe parallel that,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I don't know how this connects to Jin's or Din's story, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. The only thing that gives me pause is that like I just don't want them to focus too much on it that it takes away from
pulls
Din's.
Away from Din. Yeah.
Especially now that you've told me that this season is only 8 episodes. Which is longer than a lot of other series that have come out.
Yeah, I mean the other that's the same as the other seasons, right?
I think the first season had more than 8.
I think it was only 8 when I saw it.
Maybe I'm just making shit up in my mind, but It's just,
Not sure.
yeah, I don't know. It gives me a little bit of pause because, you know,
it just might be biting off more than it can chew.
Right. Yeah. Which seems to be a common theme with a lot of Disney shows is that they're trying to do too much in too short of a time span. So I don't know. We'll see. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it does deliver on a lot of the things that makes the Mandalorian the Mandalorian. We get to see these awesome and very cute scenes that you see here on the screen that of, you know, Din Djarin and Grogu traveling through space together.
Yeah, they were both 8.
They are? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we get all of that stuff. Plus they deliver on what we as Star Wars nerds and other, you know, general public as well have been asking for of more Mandalorians and getting more backstory to everything that goes on with that and you know, seeing more of it. So it is delivering on all of that stuff. And I am excited to see where this season goes. It is more Star Wars content, and I will always be excited about Star Wars content until it gives me a reason not to be. And so far, it hasn't given me anything to make me not excited about it.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, like you said, I agree pretty much on everything. There is some room for.
Oh yeah, there's some room for some dope ass storylines.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Yeah. I do hope they flush out this new characters and stuff, side story kind of thing, and it fits with Din's journey somehow. Because, like we said, they're both like great. Is together right now, it just feels weird.
It feels very far apart from each other.
Right. Like they're
like it's literally
if you're separating them, they're both great.
Din Djarin is in the outer rim.
Jumps to that, yeah.
And he's on Coruscant, which is like the middle of the galaxy.
It's just weird. But we haven't seen the whole thing, obviously.
Right. So we can't judge yet.
But super exciting. And my favorite thing is I don't want to hear another person say that The Mandalorian relies on nostalgia berries. Because a lot of this stuff is technically not new, but it's new to most people.
Yes.
I would agree. If you still don't like it, that's fine.
Sure.
But you can no longer tell me that The Mandalorian relies on old characters and old stuff coming back. They never did, in my opinion. It's it adds to anything, just like everything else. Anything else.
It accentuates it,
Yeah, it adds to it, certainly, but it doesn't rely on it in this case.
I 100% agree.
And a lot of the stuff that we see in this season is awesome.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for them to keep expanding it.
I want more.
I mean, the Mandalorians are honestly my favorite people within Star Wars, like by themselves. Wookiees are another group that I really like that doesn't get a whole lot, but we did see some in Bad Batch.
Yeah, we need live action Wookiees.
Yeah.
We need a live action Wookiee series. Bro, no, we just need a whole. We need its own series.
Get its own show.
We need a Wookiee Jedi series.
Kashyyyk.
Imagine, or just call it Kashyyyk and just tell us more about Kashyyyk as the world itself.
Give us live action. What's his name? Gunji.
Yeah.
Just give us him live action, bro.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. A lot to be excited about, ladies and gentlemen. Well. We're curious to know what you guys thought about the first 3 episodes of The Mandalorian. How you guys felt about the things that happened, what you saw. Is it living up to the hype that it definitely was getting going into it? And are you guys excited for the upcoming 5 episodes? We will do, I don't know, you want to do an episode by episode or you want to do end of the season?
I think just to let us kind of catch up for you guys, we'll do like a mid maybe and then a final.
Yeah, I think maybe after like episode 6, we might do another update and then a final, just because
I don't want to do like just the final because I feel like that's a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll probably do like maybe 2.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because, like I said in the beginning of the episode, ladies and gentlemen, we have fallen behind a little bit, but there is a lot of stuff, a lot of content that we do want to get out to you guys. Yep. So, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for all the love and support. Please check out our most recent episode that we just posted. It was a really fun one that is a little bit different than a lot of the stuff that we've done recently, and I think you guys will really like it. So check that out. Let us know what you guys thought. But please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. Check out our social media links as well as the other shows here on Anykind Media, and we will catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye, guys.